Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name's Zane.
My name is Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate us kids from the inside out. 2025. Can you guys believe it? With New Year's comes resolutions. Did you guys make one?
Drink more water.
I mean, I want to increase my nature time.
And I guess just incorporating more deep breathing into my day.
Oh.
But guess what? We are not alone. With nearly half of Americans making New Year's resolutions, only about 25% of people actually stay committed to their resolutions after just 30 days, according to Columbia University. And actually even less, even few more than 10% actually accomplish their goals. Most people, they don't commit to their goals. And on those terrible statistics, how do we find doable goals that we can stick with? We have just the amazing guest with us who can answer just that question. Darshan Shah, MD, who is actually a health and wellness specialist, board-certified surgeon, published author, and even the founder of Next Health, the world's first and largest health optimization and longevity clinic. Dr. Shah is a board-certified surgeon who has performed over 20,000 surgical procedures. And Dr. Shah actually began his career at an accelerated MD program and actually earned his medical degree at the age of 21, becoming one of the youngest doctors in the United States. And he actually even continued his training at the Mayo Clinic.
So his passion on educating people on this topic of adding health span to your lifespan he has done over 100 speaking engagements and hosted the critically acclaimed podcast Extend. And thank you so much, Dr. Shah, for joining us today. We are so thankful and so thankful because we know that you are incredibly busy. So we are so thankful and honored that you are here with us today. So you have done such amazing work. We would love to know your story and what inspired you. What inspired you? We would love to know stories. We'd love to know your story.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to tell you guys. So first of all, thank you all so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and talk to you all. And I shared with you, I have kids myself, and it's so good to have kids hear it from other kids because I think, kids don't like to listen to their parents too much. So when they hear it from other kids, it's a lot better. So my story is, I was a doctor at a very young age, 21 years old, and I spent the next 20 years doing surgery. That's why I did 20,000 surgeries. But when you spend that much time doing surgery, you're very stressed out. You're working 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you don't take good care of yourself. And so that's what happened to me. Day after day after day, I wasn't sleeping well. I was eating junk food. I was stressed. I was working really hard, not taking a break to take care of myself. And over time, the damage accumulates, and so it's really easy to get healthy when you're younger. But if you spend a long time with unhealthy habits, it's really hard to get healthy again. So I found myself when I was an older adult, 40 years old, in a very poor state of health. Not only was I very overweight, I was 50 pounds overweight, but also I had an autoimmune disease. I had diabetes, I had heart disease, a lot of problems. And I decided I wanted to get myself healthy. So I took a year off of my surgery practice to learn how to get healthy. And I went and I learned about nutrition, exercise, sleep, hormones, gut health, all the things that I didn't really know a lot about doing surgery. And I was able to get myself healthy very quickly. In like 8 months, I got healthy. I was able to stop doing many medications I was taking. I was taking like 10 medications. I went down to 1 or 2. I was able to lose 50 pounds. I was able to completely get rid of my autoimmune disease. And so when I saw what I could do on myself, and I'm not like any special person, I'm just like every other human being. It was hard for me to do it. But I thought, let me change my career. I want to be the kind of doctor that helps people get healthy. And so that's where I'm at, where I am today. And I stopped doing surgery, and now I'm helping other people get healthy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Really, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the thing that you focus most on your, what is the thing that you focus on the most in your podcast?
So, in my podcast, I focus on all the different aspects of health, but I would say lately we're talking a lot about 2 or 3 things. One is your metabolic health. Okay, so your metabolic health is your body's ability to handle the sugar and the energy put into it when you're eating. Okay. Secondly, we talk about the importance of your muscle mass. Your muscles are so important, more than you recognize. I think a lot of people think muscles are just for, for showing off and showing how strong you are. But no, your muscles actually help you utilize glucose for energy, and they also help you prevent aging. Okay. And the third thing we talk about is how important it is to take care of your heart for the long term. And so I think those things are big focuses of mine right now, because a lot of people suffer from metabolic disease. A lot of people suffer from not having enough muscle, and a lot of people suffer from heart attacks, as we know. And if you could take those three things and really focus on them for even 6 months to a year, you can completely turn the direction of your health.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
amazing.
It really is amazing.
That is super amazing you do on your podcast.
Thank you.
So is it really necessary? How can someone start being more healthy in 2025? Because I mean, when you think of an entire year, it seems, oh, that's too much time. I mean, it's too big of a goal. What can I even do? So what
Yeah.
advice would you have for them?
What I would focus on, instead of focusing on the whole year and setting a goal for the year, I think people make big goals, right? But then they don't have a system in place on how to achieve that goal. Instead of making a big goal for the year, make a tiny, tiny goal for every day. And if you do something small every single day, it adds up to where you'll not only achieve your goals, but you'll go past your goal forever, because now you're in a habit. And the habits are the key to anything. They're the key to health. They're the key to success. They're the key to having an incredible life. Whatever is in your habits can either make or break you. Okay. And so what I would say, I'll give you an example. Say your example is to get really big muscles this year, right? And if that's your goal, and you say, I want to get really big muscles, it doesn't really get you there. That's kind of what you're just visualizing what you want to do. Instead, if you make a tiny habit that you're going to do one push-up and one sit-up every single day, and then you'll add more when you feel like you want to add more, who can't do that? Who can't just do one push-up and one sit-up every day? Guess what you're going to do? The first day, you're going to do one. The second day, you might do one. The third day, you're going to be like, this is silly. I can do more than one. Let me see how many I can do. You might do 10, 20, 30. The next day, you say, I'm tired. I'm just going to do one again. But guess what? The next day after that, you're going to say, oh, you know what? I can do 20, 30. I'm just going to do 5. And then slowly you'll build up the habit and do 6 and 10 and 20. And then before you know it, after 6 months, you're doing a full workout of 30 sit-ups and 30 push-ups a day and 3 sets of those. And by the end of the year, not only have you gotten big muscles, but you've gotten much, much healthier. So little things like that can make a big difference.
Wow, and it's so important that people have to stop looking at the wider range. Instead, they have to focus on the little that can get to their wider range.
Yes.
So it's really important that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I know when I used to practice running and racing, they said, don't focus on the 5 miles. First get to half mile and say, okay, now next half mile, then next half mile, then next half mile. And I think I tried that out. It was super effective.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you focus on achieving smaller goals, but do it consistently every day, you'll blow through your goals.
So can kids make goals with their health? I mean, because as a kid, you think, oh, I'll worry about my health when I'm in my 20s or when I'm older. Right now, let me just enjoy. But what are some goals that kids maybe can set for their health?
Yeah. Well, here's a problem. When you're in your 20s and your 30s, by then it's too late to start making good habits sometimes. And it is much harder because now, guess what? You're in college or you're in school or you have a job. And now you have a lot of external pressures to do things that kind of take away from your ability to focus on yourself. So I think it's really important to focus on your health when you're young, because then whatever habits you build, they automatically transfer into your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond. So what I would say is there's 2 things that kids really should think about focusing on, or 3 things. Number 1 is what you're eating. Okay. So I think it's really easy to eat junk food, right? And it's really easy to eat for example, for breakfast, eating cereal in a box like Lucky Charms is really easy to put waffles in a toaster from the freezer, right? And you all know that that leads to poor health over time. That leads to diabetes, that leads to metabolic problems, etc. So if you can get in the habit of, instead of eating waffles and syrup and orange juice and cereals, and eating maybe some protein and some even vegetables, believe it or not, they can be tasty. You'll get used to it, and then you'll carry that forward for the rest of your life. Another thing that kids do a lot, I think, is they tend to sit around a lot instead of moving around a lot. When you're a kid, you need to move around. Unfortunately, we have video games, we have TVs, we have all these things that make us just kind of sit around and do nothing, right? Guess what? When you're a kid, you're not going to get overweight very quickly. Your body's very resilient. But if you carry that habit forward when you're an adult, it's going to be really easy to get overweight, get diabetes, get heart disease, all of it. So if you develop the habit of moving as a child or as a kid, it will also carry through your life. And so what I would say is maybe make it a habit of after every meal to go for a walk. Instead of, watching an hour of TV, play a half hour of basketball and then do a half hour of TV. Those little habits can make a big, big difference and carry through for your life.
So your main tips are eating more natural foods, more foods that are better for your body, and just going out for a walk and exercising more and playing more.
Right, exactly. Pretty easy to do, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Ahmad?
That's so easy. I can do that on a daily basis.
Yes. Yeah. I'm telling you, it'll make a big, big difference. I mentioned there's 3 things. There's one other thing I see a lot happening is kids get stuck a lot on their electronic devices, right? And I'm not saying electronic devices are bad. In fact, there can be a lot of good things that come from being on a device when you're doing the right things on that device, right? However, no matter, even if you're just playing math games for 8 hours a day on your iPad, that's still not good because you're not moving. You're just in front of the screen all the time. So set a daily screen limit. You can program this into the iPad, or you program this into, a lot of devices, and stick to it. Okay. And so I think you should spend no more than 1 hour a day on an electronic device, no matter what you're doing. If it's playing a game or even, doing homework and stuff like that, it should be very limited, because your brain was not meant to look at a screen for more than an hour a day. So I think that's another very important thing to get. This is a new problem that's just been happening over the last 20 years. It never occurred before. And we know there's a lot of bad things that happen when you spend too much time on electronics.
So, for most parents, like you said, even an hour a day might be too much. But for a lot of parents, like, an hour a day is usually minimum for kids to be on a screen. Like, most kids, they already spend 3-4 hours when they come back from school.
Yeah, when I was in 3rd grade, which is crazy, back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There was a kid in my class, and they're all bragging how many more hours they have. And he was like, I play 12 hours of screens. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, that's way too much. And so, I think getting yourself in the habit of limiting your screen time is going to be such an important thing for your long-term brain health, and your ability to do things that don't involve a screen. I think spending so much time on a screen, all you get used to is communicating on a screen. You get used to just, playing video games with your hands, but you don't get used to communicating in person. You don't get used to being outside and using your entire body. There needs to be a balance. Balance is key.
So what advice do you have for parents that want to get their child that's been playing 2-3 hours a day on their screens to then only spending 1 hour? Because to most parents, I think it might seem impossible.
Because they're just too addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you, we thought it was impossible too, but we slowly cut back from 3 to 4 hours to 2 to 3 hours to 1 to 2 hours, and now down to 1 hour. It took us about 6 months to do it. And now the kids are used to doing 1 hour a day, and then they put their device away, because guess what? They filled up their time with other things. Now they have other hobbies, whether it's, we have kits that we get every month that they can do engineering, like put kits together for engineering. They do, they go outside and play. They have a puppy now that they take care of. We filled up their time time with other things. So you slowly reduce the screen time and fill it up with something else.
So, what are some simple goals that you can tell kids that to try to start for this new year?
I think, once again, I'm not a big fan of goals. I think I'm more of a fan of habits. So simple habits add up to not just goals, but going way past your goal. So instead of even thinking of goals, think about what are the habits you're going to put into place every single day, and just pick 2 or 3. You can even start with just one. It's all about starting small, and then you can do something called habit stacking, where once you finish one habit, you do another habit. So say you want to develop a habit to do a little bit of exercise every day, and you also want to develop a habit to meditate a little bit every day, and then you also want to develop a habit to practice your 2-pointer every day or your 3-pointer. Okay. So first thing you do is, what's the most fun out of those 3? What do you think?
Basketball.
Okay, good. So first thing you're going to do every day when you get back home from school, shoot 30 baskets and try to get as many 3-pointers as possible, right? Do that every day for 2 weeks. Then you say, okay, I got it. This is easy. I can do this now. I'm so used to it. After I come home after I finish shooting the baskets, I'm going to come inside. I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes. So then you come inside, and the first day you meditate for 1 minute. The next day you meditate for 2 minutes. The next week you meditate for 3 minutes. You build up to 5 minutes. And you're like, oh, this is easy. I'm only 3 months into the year. I shoot 30 baskets and I meditate for 5 minutes every day. No problem. I got it. Then you add in a little bit of exercise. Okay. So remember, I gave you the sit-up, push-up example. Do 1 sit-up, do now 1 push-up. That's called habit stacking. When you do one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and just keep adding to that time block, this routine that you do every day before you sit down to play your video games, before dinner. Just get all that done. Then do your homework and get it done, and then you're free for the rest of the night. That's how you can achieve big, big goals in your life, by becoming an expert at forming good habits.
Well, you are so empowering.
So empowering.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You talked about metabolic health. This is a huge problem now with so many kids that deal with insulin resistance. What are your tips to stabilize blood sugar?
Yeah, that's a great question. Metabolic health is a big word, but all it really means is that your body is taking in too many carbs and sugars, and it's not able to handle it. So what happens when that happens? When you're not using the sugar and the carbs that you take in, and it's too much, you store it away as fat. And over time, that fat can lead to a lot of other problems like inflammation, heart disease, even makes you think slower, it makes you move slower, all of it. So you want to really control there's 2 parts of metabolic health. Part 1 is controlling what you eat. So reducing the amount of carbohydrates and sugar that you eat, and increasing the amount of protein and fiber that you eat. Okay. And then the second part of it is moving more. The more you move, the healthier metabolism, right? So we talked about that already, right? You got to run around and play and do fun things that involve moving your body. So that's how you attack metabolic health. And this will stabilize your blood sugar. It will keep you from not getting overweight, and it will keep you from developing disease over a long period of time. By the way, the best time to move around is after you eat. After you eat, never sit down on the couch and just kind of watch an hour of TV. Instead, go for a quick 10-minute walk, or do some jumping jacks, or shoot some baskets. Do something that's active after you eat. That's the most impactful.
So,
So your tips are, after you eat, go out, play, do some exercise, get moving, because otherwise it's going to become unhealthy for you.
mhm.
And you want to use that food and those nutrients to the best that you can.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, because most kids, they just think, oh, food, eat, now we're full.
Now I'm gonna throw up. No. Food, and then you exercise, and then you that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying?
You know how sometimes you eat a big meal and then you just feel like, oh, can't move around, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And that's because you're not moving after you eat. And so your blood sugar goes really high and then it crashes and you get so tired. So just give it a try after every meal, or especially after dinner, go for a quick walk. It's really helpful.
Yeah, because us kids, we need to realize that food is more than just something that you can satisfy your stomach with. But food is medicine, food is power, food is knowledge and information for your body. And it's the thing that dictates like what we do, right?
Every single day.
That's why there's some truth to you are what you eat. Because if you just eat junk all the time, then you're just gonna act like junk. But if you eat the healthy nutrient foods like vegetables, fruits, foods that are real and nutritious, then you're gonna work so much better, right?
So, absolutely, you are what you eat.
Yeah, and about like the stabilized blood sugar, like part with exercise and like eating good. I'm playing. Our mom, she uses like a glucose monitor, and then right before she goes to sleep, she does like exercise, and then it goes like really down. It goes down.
I have a glucose monitor too. I have my on right now. It's a great tool, especially when you become an adult, because as you become an adult, and especially with certain genetics, it's really hard to keep your sugar low, especially if you spent years and years not worrying about it. So now I wear my glucose monitor so I can really monitor my glucose and watch it come down. But if you do it as a kid and you get into good habits as a kid, you might never need to wear a glucose monitor in the future.
Wow.
What is your best tips to your kids to eat healthy in 2025?
My best tip to get healthy in 2025 and eating healthy is what you're not supposed to eat, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what's bad for you, right?
Yes.
Get a box, get the next Amazon box you get, the big one. Empty out whatever you got, bring it to your kitchen and your pantry. Take all the junk out of the pantry and the fridge, put it in the box and donate it. And then tell your mom not to buy this stuff anymore. So then if it's not around, you won't be able to eat it and you'll automatically start picking healthier choices.
Also, start to read ingredients because that's something that most kids don't even know how to do.
Because a lot of things, if it says, oh, healthy, and then they're like, oh, this is healthy, even though it's filled with preservatives and artificial colors and flavors, that can really damage your body. So yeah, reading labels are really important.
And there was a guy I met at school today, and he was like, I know you eat healthy, here's a lollipop. And I'm like, let me see that. And then it says naturally. And I'm like, oh, it's so natural. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know it's natural. And I said, it's not natural because under it says flavors and artificial.
Right. Yeah. I know it's ridiculous that they say that. And obviously a lollipop is going to be tons of sugar in there, right? And so look, I'm not saying never have a lollipop. You can definitely have desserts and lollipops and candy, but do it after the end of a meal. So if you start a meal good, like with vegetables and protein, beans and whole grains, and then you have some dessert at the end, like even a lollipop or even a little bit of ice cream, that's completely fine. But if you start with breads and sugary, like syrup on your waffles, that's going to make your blood sugar go really, really high.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely remember to do that because otherwise most kids, a lot of them, they want candy first because obviously you just want what you want first.
Right. So and it's okay to have some candy, but do it at the end of the meal, right? And it won't be much healthier for you.
It's like a reward. Like after you do this and then you can have it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why reward. I was just gonna say that's why our mom, whenever we do lunches, she says, or whatever we eat, she says, she says, vegetables,
clean protein, healthy fat,
and then carbohydrates.
Yeah,
that's our rule.
That's the same rule we have in our family. Yep, vegetables first, protein second, carbohydrates last.
Yeah. So we also love that you talked a lot about habit stacking. What are some daily habits your kids try to incorporate into their day?
We're working on habit stacking in our house. But one thing that we're really doing now is every morning when they wake up, before they do anything else, they make their bed. So that way their room is clean and their bed is made, and then they go into the bathroom and they do their morning routine in the bathroom, and then they come down and have their breakfast. And so I think making your bed first thing in the morning really sets up your day well. It makes you organized. You come back home to a clean room, and it's always good to have your brain be free of messes, And so when your eyes see a mess, your brain becomes a mess. And so we really try to clean up a little bit and make your bed before you get your day started.
Wow. Yeah, I also did hear that like making the bed, making your bed increases your productivity throughout the entire day, which is super important if you want to have a really good, powerful day. So that's why every day we make our bed.
Good for you. Good for you. I love it.
Actually, our mom taught us that as well. She always I remember she used to say, she always used to tell us, make your bed. Like that's one of the things she stressed the most. That and food.
Your mom knows what she's talking about. Yep.
So thank you again for this powerful episode. So we can create healthier habits through the day to create a powerful year.
Also, you are so inspirational.
So inspirational.
So honored to have you on our podcast.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to be with you. Can't wait to talk to you guys again. And you have to come on my podcast now.
Yeah, we definitely
need to get on your podcast.
Awesome. Can't wait to talk again.
Can't wait to see you again. Take care.
So where can we learn more about you and your amazing work?
I have a podcast. It's called Extend, EXTEND, by Dr. Darshan Shah. And then my website is drshaw.com.
So everyone, please check that out because he is super influential. So check that out.
Let's recap Dr. Shah's key points.
2025 is the year of optimal metabolic health, muscle and heart health. Instead of making big goals, make a tiny goal for the day that creates habits. Start small habits and then a habit stack. Habits can change your life. Little things like that can make a bigger difference. Focus on achieving small goals every day.
Focus on your health. When you are young, like where I am right now, like this age, focus on what you are eating and vegetables and protein at every meal. Reduce the amount of carbs and junk food you eat. Empty out all the junk food. Get out.
Move. Make it a habit every meal to go out for a walk or outside to play. Set a daily screen time limit and stick to it. Spend less than 1 hour a day on devices. I know it sounds really hard, but trust me, your brain will thank you, and your life will, and you'll thank yourself later. Spend less time. Slowly decrease screen time and increase the time you do on other things. Fill it with things that you love to do, like Zen.
I love to draw and color and look at the world.
Alex is like magic tricks.
And I like to read and learn other stuff. So that's why do what you love, because it'll be a lot more beneficial for you and your brain later in the future than just scrolling and playing games for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. I'm kidding. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Until next time, I'm Zan Sari.
And I'm Imad.
And I'm Abdullah.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom D, and look out for our book releasing September 2025 called The Teen Health Revolution. And kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast in iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to create a healthy future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kid Show, where kids are empowering kids.
Thank you, everyone.
That's